and to protect them and to investigate crimes against them, even by our own staff. And he was our champion. He set up that organization. He worked long and hard hours, long and hard, and we miss him. Jeff passed away unexpectedly a short time ago. It was a shock to everybody in Albany, and we've come here to honor him and to give some comfort to those who miss him the most, his loved ones who are here today. So I want to give several awards to the family and to Shelley, but I wanted to give folks an opportunity to say a couple of words. So I'm going to bring up Tom O'Clair.
The experience that I have to credit to Jeff Wise. This man was very level-headed, even-tempered, and on many occasions, when you're lobbying, you're trying to affect change in New York State, things get very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. And sometimes not always easiest to keep your cool. Jeff was one of those few people who could always keep his cool. Never showed his frustration. I would wear mine on my sleeve, but he could help me pull in focus and kind of work with my coping skills, if you will. Because I too have a diagnosis I had since 17, so I've got some issues sometimes when I get extremely frustrated. Jeff came into our lives, my life, excuse me, a little bit before halfway through. Actually, no. Shelley, correct me. He was there from the start, wasn't he? No? All right, a little bit halfway through. And Jeff was largely responsible for drafting the bill that became Timothy's Law. Now, I will tell you that there was a lot of concern in the early days of Timothy's Law because people were afraid it would force treatment. People were afraid that it would not do enough or it would do more harm than good. Jeff heard everybody's concerns. He took all of that into consideration in the bills that he drafted and the adjustments to those bills. He was very much an advocate for the people, for all people. I value the friendship I had with Jeff. He himself had helped me through a couple of difficult times in other areas. But what I also value are these people to my right here who shared Jeff with us, who supported him through the work that he did to support all of us across the state. Now, we know in dealing with our own daily stuff, if you will, we get caught up. It's difficult to focus on other things and family and. Jeff was able, through his family, to lend us the focus that propelled the state forward in changing how mental health is treated in health insurance. Their love for him allowed him to share some of that love with us. And for that, I thank you all.
A very good friend of Jeff Wise is Glenn Liebman. Glenn?
I had originally put some words together about Jeff, but I decided instead to speak from the heart. Jeff was a wonderful human being. That goes without saying. Anyone who met Jeff knew what a wonderful person he was. He was the kind of guy who, you ever meet people in your life, like the first time you meet them and say, really like this guy. He's just, you know, got all the attributes that, you know, I greatly respect. You know, not only just a great person, but incredibly smart, just, you know, brilliant. I mean, he was the smartest one in the room, but he didn't have to show people he was the smartest one in the room because he was so modest as well, as Tom said. He was a very modest man. Great sense of humor. Was really so eclectic in terms of his interest, you know, music and baseball, rooted for the Red Sox instead of the Mets, but, you know, it's not perfect. But he was an absolutely great person. And I had the honor of being friends with him when he mostly during the time when he worked at the New York State Rehab Association, which was right across the street from the Mental Health Association offices. So about once a month we get together, sometimes more frequently, sometimes a little less frequently, just for coffee, and we'd sit there, and just the advice he would give, and just, you know, he was just such a nice guy that he was imparting great wisdom, but he imparted it in such a way that it was just, he wasn't like saying you have to do this or you should do this, he was just being Jeff, which means that he was an incredibly decent, caring person who just had an enormous heart and an enormous amount of compassion. I know how much he loved his family. He would often talk about his family and how proud he was of his daughters and how much he loved his daughters. He was such a family guy, but he was also, and Shelley, who has been phenomenal, when she and I were having lunch a few weeks ago, we'd say that Jeff is like an onion because you would peel layers from him and there'd be more. And he was so modest. Let me give you an example. That he was like, one day, this is about 2 years ago, he's over at the Justice Center, working as director of Justice Center, and we're having lunch, and he said, you know, we're talking about music. We've had 100 conversations about music over the years. And he said, you know, I played in a band. I'm like, excuse me? I've known you for a decade, and you never told me you played in a band. He goes, oh yeah, for years and years. That's just Jeff. That was just the kind of modest guy he was, didn't like to talk about himself, liked to much more talk about others. And I would just like to end by saying all these commonality of traits, all these great things that he was as a person. He was a tremendous advocate for people with disabilities, for people who are impoverished, everybody. Jeff had a huge heart, and he used his great intellect and his great passion and his networking, frankly, as well, to create great things for people. So many of the accomplishments, as Tom referred to Timothy's Law, and so many other great accomplishments that have occurred are a reflection of the great work of Jeff. So we will miss him greatly. We as a community will miss him. Personally, I will miss him, and I know what he's meant to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. But we want to particularly give some comfort to the people he loved and who loved him. So we're very honored and very grateful that Jeff's daughter, Rebecca Wise Nellie, is here with Brian. And we're also very, very grateful that Shelley Norris is here. Shelley just was, you know, partnered with Jeff all the way through. And she's a great champion on the side as well for us. But she's here today really for Jeff. So I want to give this award on behalf of the board of NYAPRS, which is NYAPRS is very pleased to present our Lifetime Achievement Award to Jeffrey Wise for his dedicated service, his great and good heart, and his lasting legacy in advancing the rights of New Yorkers with disabilities. I'm going to give this award to Rebecca Wise. And I want to give one to Shelley North, who is a champion unto herself. Can you hear me? Champion unto herself, and just really knew Jeff as well as any of us, and really shared a lot of love with him. So Shelley, let me give you this award. it gives a little bit of comfort to me, and I hope it gives comfort to the family. So thank you so much. Thank you, Tom and Glenn.